4 years ago, I graduated high school. I was in Miami, Florida at the time. This was early June, I'd say 2021. And I didn't follow the script. I knew college was not for me because getting through high school was completely dreadful. Just sitting there, boring, 2-hour classes. It was horrible. I knew I didn't need a degree. I was not going to strive for that. And as you guys know, my mom didn't agree with that. And that was its own battle. I mean, she had this entire plan for me in her mind of he's going to go through school, he's going to get good grades, and he's going to go to a good prestigious college, and he's going to have this job, and he's going to have this life, and become a millionaire when he was 65. That was my mom's vision for me. But I packed my bags, and I moved completely across the country with nothing but ambition. I moved across the country to Pennsylvania with an uncle that lived there at the time, Mount Pocono specifically. And this was 2018. I worked 50-hour weeks. Not only in the sun, but this time in the snow. In Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, for context, the winters are insane. They're like 6 months long. It's insane. So imagine me going from Miami to Pennsylvania and now having to work through snow. But it is what it is. I knew I needed skills. And so I went and I grinded with my uncle because he had a home improvement business. And I was able to learn construction. I was able to learn trades, tools, how to be useful and provide value to people. These were some of the first lessons I started learning in life. I picked his brain as much as I can on business. I picked my aunt's brain as much as I could with business because they worked together and they had their strengths and weaknesses. So I just learned as much as I could. And I worked as hard as I could. And I came home covered in dirt. I woke up with my entire body sore, my hands sore, my hands literally throbbing because I was just working so hard. But I understood that that's what it takes, and I understood that that's what I needed at that phase of my life. I needed difficulty, I needed struggle, I needed discomfort, I needed all these things. I understood that. As much as it sucked in the moment, of course. I knew this is what I needed. Eventually, after long enough, about 18 months go by, I decided to start my own handyman business where I'm painting, I'm managing Airbnbs, I'm doing a lot of the work I learned with my uncle, hustling just to eat. And now this is where it gets crazy. I learned various skills through that journey. I learned how to quote people, I learned how to invoice them, I learned how to somewhat sell, I learned how to fulfill the work, I learned a lot of different things. I understood the responsibility it took to be responsible for a project. There was a lot of character development in that phase, and I did that for about 3-4 months. And that was interesting. But then I moved in with a friend, and everything got wild. I mean, we did all kinds of hustles. We cleaned and managed Airbnbs. I used my handyman experience to actually build a studio to record for artists that my friend was going to bring a lot of artists that he knew from New York and come and record. I also learned how to use Studio One so I could actually record. We did that for a little bit, made a little bit of money there. I was also training to be a dog obedience instructor because we had another friend who had 2 Belgian Malinois who were going to breed. I was going to train them up and then eventually get them into police work. And so those can be sold for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand. So that's what I was training for. That ended up not working out. There was even a gentleman who had a pink Himalayan salt business. He sold that. And we would go door to door business. We would get any Walmart manager we can get in front of, anyone who we can get in front of, and just literally go and try to sell them the salt and put it on their shelves. 0 for 0 for 0. Didn't sell a single job or a single product. Then we cleaned the Airbnbs. It was complete madness. We did every job under the sun that we could possibly get to and just tried our absolute hardest to figure something out. But it was all fine and dandy until he betrayed me. He stole from me, long story short. And I walked away. No explanation, no questions asked, blocked number, time for the next story. I decided, okay, I've been in Pennsylvania long enough, time to head back to Florida. Let me get my reset on. I moved back in with my dad, and I decided to build myself back up. I was completely broken after that betrayal. I had no idea where to start, no idea what to do. It was just time to start over. And so I decided, okay, at least this time back in Florida, I have a little bit of skills. And so I started putting them to work. So I started promoting for my business at the time. I was pressure cleaning, I was painting, and I was cutting grass. Funny enough, I was using my uncle's pressure washer, I was using my dad's lawnmower, and I was using another uncle's paint equipment. Funny enough. So I had nothing, but I knew how to use them. And so I used them, and I made a little bit of money there. Also, while I was with my friend, I did learn how to kind of make websites because we had to make a website for a lot of operations that we were trying to do. And so I learned that. And so these two things combined did get me a couple grand a month, but it wasn't stable. So I decided to get something stable. My dad worked construction for 20 years. He had a lot of pool at the site that he was at. So I just simply told him, Dad, I need something stable. Can you get me a construction job? This was insane character development, let me tell you. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning every single day, working in 95 to 100 to 105 degree heat, 12-hour days, wearing 40-pound equipment all day, walking miles across the site, doing all kinds of various tasks. And I still worked on my side projects at night. Got up at 4:30 in the morning, did that long day, didn't get home till 7 p.m., still cooked a healthy meal, worked out, read a little bit, worked on my side projects, got to sleep, and did it again. And I did that for 6 months. 6 months. I had no life, no girls, no friends, no nothing, just suffering. But again, I knew this is what I needed. I knew God put me here for a reason. After the construction, I decided it's been 6 months. I've got a decent amount of money saved up. I'm going to take a month off. And I'm going to take a month off to work on this coaching thing. I ended up in pretty good shape because I had nothing else to do other than work out in my free time. And I was super depressed. And I understand that the best way to deal with that is by simple raw action. So I was just working out religiously. I had a pretty good physique at the time. And so I started training and making videos on how to actually train fitness, how to do it with no gym, calisthenics, how to eat healthy, how to adopt a mindset for consistency. I started teaching these things that I've learned across this journey. And I did that for about a month. You could find my old page. It's called Max Fitness, MAQS Fitness. And I was posting consistently and I was doing that and didn't sell a single person because I didn't know sales, right? I got on sales calls, couldn't close them, didn't make a dime. But I learned. After that month, this is the absolute breaking point for me. After that month, I actually ended up landing a job at AT&T because I realized traction wasn't happening. I kept my options open and I applied to AT&T. And this is where I thought I made it. I actually got hired pretty quickly for $23 an hour to be a service technician that would ride around in my own van, completely consistent job, 40 hours, plenty of overtime, and even travel pay. And I was like, wow, this is a pretty decent hookup. It's better than construction. It's better than not making money with coaching. It's more consistent than everything I've tried in the past. It's the best job I've landed so far. Funny enough, day 2, I get fired. I missed training. I got sick. But it didn't matter. That was rock bottom. That's when the world directly showed me it doesn't give a shit about you. It doesn't care if you're sick. It doesn't care if you can't perform. Nothing matters. You just have to win. That's when I found window cleaning. Window cleaning became the turning point for me. Now, it wasn't window cleaning specifically because there's something magical about the service. Absolutely not. But I learned to sell. I started understanding business from a different lens. I started grinding. I built a business that did $500,000 revenue within 9 months. I learned to lead. I learned to scale. And now I actually teach other people how to do it. I make 2 to 5K days for knocking for 2 or 3 hours. And I also coach a sales team that does the same. This is where I found the success. All of that pain, all of that suffering, all of that prior history was completely necessary. Because when I found a proper vehicle, I took it to the moon. And it's not because I'm some savant who's just magically lucky and figured it out. No, I went through 4 years of suffering to build myself into the man who can take an opportunity like this to the stratosphere. So look, if you're tired of just simply being broke and confused, I've clearly been there. I have been at the absolute bottom of the barrel. I have had debit card accounts closed. You thought credit history was a thing and that was important. I bet you didn't even know debit card history was a thing and that you need to work on that. I didn't either. I found out the hard way because I had negative thousands of dollars in my account because I had massive debt that it was accumulated and I simply couldn't pay it. And the banks were like, dude, we're not giving you a debit card. I've been there. I've been at the bottom. I've had to eat tortilla and peanut butter sandwiches because that's all that was in the pantry. I've had to beg for gas money. I've had to sleep in the car because I had nowhere to sleep at night. I've been there. And I made a free Discord for you. Because if I can help you even 1% learn this thing called sales, whether you do window cleaning or anything of that nature, but if I can just help you learn and understand the importance of sales, I can possibly grant you freedom. The link's in the description.